Shut up and sit down.
I've become kind of famous for my signature catchphrase, whammy!
You are listening to the Dialed Podcast with Matt Legrand, Evan Price, Lance Hepler, and Jake Von During. Do you know what is the hardest part of learning to ride a bike? The pavement.
I'm all about having fun. Maybe go to SeaWorld, take my pants off.
Take it easy, champ. Why don't you stop talking for a while?
Maybe sit the next couple plays out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm gonna quit saying things when they crop up there. The old skull, huh?
The mall is now reducing Black Friday prices to 96% off to the first 100 people inside the mall. This is going to be a f***ing bloodbath, Tom. There will be medical tents, ambulances, face painting. No doubt a lot of people you know and love are going to die.
All right, welcome back to the Dial Podcast. I'm Jake Von During. I'm here with Evan Price.
How's it going, everybody? I don't have any drink yet.
Oh, do you need something?
I'll probably go grab something here in a second. I'll pretend like I'm listening to Matt's intro and just go grab something super quick.
Yeah, that's an easy one to skip, dude.
It's an easy one. Oh, then never mind. Here we go. Kirkland, our former sponsor, just tossed a grapefruit right in front of me. Calorie-free, sodium-free, sweetener-free, grapefruit essence, sparkling water with other natural flavors. What are you drinking, Matt?
Coffee is the poison of choice.
Whoa, caffeinated?
No.
Okay.
I've been on decaf for quite a while now.
So just drinking brown water?
Yep.
You've been going no caffeine for a while. When did that happen?
I've been having lots of sensitivity to caffeine. I don't know. I got issues.
You've been off the caffeine for a while.
Yeah, probably over a year.
Yeah, I was going to say over a year, if I'm not mistaken. Crazy.
Yeah.
Awesome. And that voice you hear right there, that's Matt Legrand. Hey, Matt.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen of the internet? You guys are looking travel-tastic. Hope you guys are not traveling for the holidays. How about you, Lance?
What? Can you hear me? I'm not in a good spot.
Oh.
As we hope that you're not traveling for the holidays. Lance is driving somewhere right now.
Last but not least, Lance
I am
Hepler.
currently driving. Hey, it's Lance Romance trying to jump on this podcast while I'm driving to Arizona or somewhere. I'm not sure where I'm headed. I'm in the backcountry of Utah and got the dog.
Whoa.
Is he making that with his actual voice? That almost sounded like he was trying to pretend like he's breaking up there, and he extended the and out a little bit longer.
Hopefully we keep Hep around for a little bit. If he drops out, I'm sure he'll try and call back. If not, it'll just be the three of us for today. Lance, you still there?
And it's just the three of us today.
And he is all frozen on Skype.
He is frozen.
Yes, sir. Cool. Let's jump into some backpilling. Mr. Price, how's your week been, bud?
Busy. Clinic's busy during the holidays. That's just how it usually is. And yeah, that's about it. That's really all I got. We can hope that Matt I hope has a really fun family Thanksgiving sort of backpedal. But yeah, that's about all that I got. I skateboarded for about 5 more minutes this week.
Nice.
Whoa.
How's it skateboarding coming along?
You know, after really long runs and hard track workouts, I will admit the skateboarding becomes significantly harder. So my kind of what they would call your pop in skateboarding, or that when you hit the back lip and you go into an ollie, as they call it. Matt knows all about this because all of his kids now are hardcore skateboarders. But that is not as easy as I remember it being when I was 12 years old, I will admit. 16 years away from the sport, you would think that it would just come back like that, but it does not. So,
are you incorporating this into your triathlon training?
I kind of am. I'm trying to put in as much skateboarding volume as I would swimming recently, which is basically none.
Not much.
That's which is virtually non-existent.
Matt, how about you?
Yeah, I did a lot of stuff. I guess I shouldn't say we all. We finished out that 100 rides in 100 days. That was on Thanksgiving Day.
The Dial 100
And,
wrapped up on Thanksgiving. Yep.
I went deep on like a just like an hour workout, but I went hard, and I felt like my heart was going to stop. It was quite painful. I haven't been doing that many workouts. Remember, my whole like strategy for this whole like 100-day thing was like, don't do anything hard, do everything easy, just make it through the 100 days. But then at the end of it, right, you can just go hard because why not? And so I did, and that hurt a little bit. But I also have swam a couple times. I swam, I think, twice this week. And then I've also run a couple of times. Evan will be interested in this. I've been cutting the back of my shoe off. I cut that a little bit wider.
How'd that go?
That's helping.
That's good. Were you able to find that Dr. Scholl's just gel insert for the heel?
No, I'm not using a gel insert or anything like that. I'm just
trying to
just making sure that there's no rubbing on the back of the heel with that, just having the heel cut off. Mm-hmm. We did we do something like this all the time where we have like our neighborhood and we go for a run, and we did a turkey trot, a 5K turkey trot right from our neighborhood, and we raised money for this SHARE organization, which is like this kind of homeless shelter.
That's really
so
cool.
All the families did that. I ran with Sam, so it was like running and walking, so that was really good for me. And then the other run that I did was at cross country practice with the Camas cross country team. And I ran a little bit, I'm testing all these watches. And so I wanted to check out GPS accuracy, heart rate accuracy, stuff like that. So track mode for some of the Garmin stuff. So,
how'd Ethan do? Did he try and run fast during his turkey trot?
No, he's cautious. He's like, I'm going to be careful. And, it's a 5K for him. That's long. He's thinking like, I got to pace myself. So he's way more cautious than most kids I know about stuff like that. When he does his like every day, he does a mile, he's way less cautious. He'll like go hard and sprint and stuff like that. But he'll be 5K, he's worried about it.
He will be a wonderful 8K one day. He'll know how to pace himself.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing that I did yesterday was I don't know if maybe just one. I did another mountain bike ride with Lance's old bike. And that was fun. I'm trying harder trails and stuff like that, and it's pretty interesting. I'm liking it.
What are you finding to be the biggest challenge with the mountain bike?
Well, a couple things. I'm not super confident going over anything like difficult. There's so like uphill rocky stuff, like where it's like roots and uphill rock stuff, and it's like I'm going up and I just get kind of like stuck, right?
Yeah.
So that's probably the most challenging thing. There's awesome trails close by, so I don't feel like I'm having a hard time finding stuff. And I don't want to do anything super challenging at this point. Just I'd rather like have things be fun and enjoyable and kind of continue to, just get out there and kind of take advantage of the weather when it's decent. And I don't want to mess up any trails that I think are hard. And I don't want to go on any spot where I think I could hurt myself. I guess any of these spots, right, where it's like you hit something and you step off and then you slip. That's when you tear an ACL or whatever it is. Like that's the kind of stuff that I'm trying to be careful of. But you can't really, if you're going to challenge yourself and try and do some more difficult trails, then there's going to be a risk. So that's where I am. I'm hanging out behind Round Lake, and there's just cool trails back there.
Yeah.
So
a couple things that you alluded to is the trails this time of year, when they get wet and sloppy, you do want to stay off the more sensitive trails. So good on you for doing that. The other thing is you mentioned that it's a bit of a challenge for you to get up and over some of those roots in the rocks. Don't get discouraged about that, especially this time of year, because those things get wet. And even for the most skilled rider, those can be pretty difficult to get over. So just keep doing your thing, and eventually it's going to dry out and you're going to hit those things and you're like, oh, okay, I can go right over this.
Yeah. On Saturday, Matt, I was even having I went hiking at Round Lake, and I tried to find Woodburn's Falls because I'd never been down to Woodburn before.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Which is Round Lake, for anybody listening to this, is this really cool, dense, connected trail system that just kind of weaves in and out of these lakes that we have around Lacamas Lake in Camas, Washington. And there's these really cool falls in the area, and this time of year the falls are pretty big and pretty cool.
They're flowing.
Yeah, they're flowing strong. And I never been down to Woodburn because you kind of have to like know you got to follow the signs and get deep into the woods to find Woodburn Falls. And Matt, I don't blame you. Like me just getting down there, even with just my running shoes, was like it was basically skiing downhill at times. You're just like hoping that you weren't going to fall over into the mud. So Yeah.
So that trail,
some of those
I
single
avoided,
track are
and
brutal.
I probably will continue to avoid that trail for a long time because it is a harder trail. And then there's some other trails that, like all the mountain bikers have different names for it, but we used to call it like the washout trail because it gets washed out all the time. And so it's like, this is the time for mountain bikers to avoid those trails because you're going to destroy the trails and it's going to be hard for the people that maintain the trails to kind of take care of those trails in the future. And so typically, if it's at all rainy, you kind of want to stick to more packed trails, which there are some options. So I haven't had too much difficulty finding trails that are in good condition.
So I got an idea for a race between you and me, Matt. It was from Reese and Lucy Charles, Lucy Charles Barkley's most recent YouTube video. For any of our YouTube triathletes listening to this, it's a funny video where Reese is doing hill repeats, and him and Lucy decide that Lucy hops on her mountain bike and she's going to race him up the hill while he's running. And it actually ended up being a shockingly closer match than you would think it would be. It was almost a photo finish.
I actually did that in a cross-country practice. I had the team do hill repeats, and this is on the road. And I had my road bike. And it's the pitch was decent enough, and those kids are fast enough that I had to put out over 400 watts to keep up with them, on my road bike next to them while they're doing their hill repeats. So I think it's surprising. Like on a mountain bike, I'm looking at the times from these, couple of trips out on the mountain bike. They're slow as anything. Like I really do run, or I used to run faster than these, it's like you go for 5 miles and it's like 35 minutes. I'm like, oh, I could have easily run that back in the day, right? Like these times are not that fast. So especially with me falling off the bike every now and then. So
I think we need to take that hill, that Lacamas Lane hill, and do a funny YouTube video with us. Right, that is a steep. That'd be a gradient I'd actually almost rather run up than bike up.
It'll be easier to run up in certain ways, but I still think
you think the bike's got it?
Long term I can beat you on the bike. But we'll find out. We'll do it.
I'd put my odds on you, but we should do it. Yeah, it'd be fun. I'll blow up my Achilles going for it. So.
Yeah, that sounds horrible.
Fun. Cool. Anything else?
I think that's it. I think, lots of fun, like camera stuff I've been playing with this week.
You have an awesome YouTube video out there.
Just the next couple weeks because there's a lot of fun videos to put out.
Cool.
Yeah, Matt's being too humble there. He was just on an interview with what's his name again? Ryan.
Yeah, Ryan Clayton interviewed me for
his
YouTube channel, and he does a lot of ultra running stuff. But he actually has a triathlon background, and so we talked about triathlon. We talked about YouTube stuff. Mm-hmm. It was good. It was a good interview.
Yeah. Did you get a bump in subscribers from that?
No, I actually didn't. I thought I might get a little uptick, but it stayed pretty steady.
What are we at now?
In fact, things are kind of slow right now, and I think a lot of it's like there's no races. There's not people, they're not really in need of like there's no, you'll get an uptick if you see like new products and things like that. So when Garmin announced like that Garmin 745, you see a bump there, people talking about that product. But right now I haven't seen much of an uptick in traffic. Again, I'm hoping like next summer, maybe there would be some potential triathlon kind of stuff going on and stuff to talk about and things that we could kind of help people explore with the sport. But right now it's pretty slow going. So
hopefully this next weekend gets some uptick, but we'll see. Yep.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that.
For sure. I think that's where Champ is going to take a back seat there for a second.
All right. Cool. My quick back pedal. We did the Team Zwift ride on Tuesday. That was fun as usual. Again, another big showing of people on there. I think we had, when I counted, it was like 25 people that showed up for that ride. So that was kind of neat to see. And everybody's out there getting stronger too. There's some people that were, first when they came out with us, were starting to fall off, and now they're just kind of staying right there in the thick of it, and they're enjoying that. A few people have said that they're getting stronger, so that mission accomplished there.
That was good.
And Thursday on Thanksgiving, finished up the Dialed 100. Did the 100th ride in a row. Dinner. Oh, wait, what was that?
Oh yeah, that's right. There was a bet on that one.
Oh, there's a bet. Is that what that was?
Did I lose this bet?
I think you did.
What was the bet again? I know I lost a bet. I can't remember what the bet was
like,
though.
You didn't think Jake was going to make it because some kid thing was going to get in the way.
Oh, I do remember this. Yeah, I said it. Oh, yeah, okay. I owe either a Venmo or a favorite dinner spot. We'll see. Do you have a spot in mind for the family?
We were supposed to do like like a doubles thing.
Oh yeah, like
yeah,
we actually
you
make
and
dinner
Cassie,
for you. Oh
yeah.
yeah, we could do that this weekend.
Or if we can just do lunch too, whatever.
No, we should for sure do like a dinner this week because I've actually been meaning I need to cook Indian. I used to cook Indian quite a bit, and I was just getting berated this last weekend that I don't cook Indian anymore. So this would be a good
Are
opportunity.
you a good
for
cook
that,
though?
actually.
I can see Cassie being an excellent cook.
Cassie's a very good cook. Our roommate Melissa is an excellent baker, like very,
Okay.
very, very good, passionate baker.
And where does
I
Evan
am
Price slot in there?
C-, but C- to D+ at most things. I have a few skill sets. I've made pizzas before because me and my little brother used to make a lot of pizzas.
Sure.
I make Indian food really well because when I lived in India for a short period of time, we lived with the guy who cooked for the whole compound area. And I would get up early in the morning after my runs and then just go and hang out with him because I had to run at like 4 a.m. there.
I always forget that you lived in India. That
short,
still kind of blows my mind. How long were you there for?
Short period of time, like 3 months. So
That's
it was
that's
short.
awesome.
That was an absolute blast. I got the opportunity to work in some hospitals there, and we stayed with some Catholic priests there, and it was great. It was one of the coolest experiences in Bengaluru, India, which is a big city in South India. And those cities are just massive. Bengaluru's like, I'm probably going to get this wrong, but it's like the 4th or 5th biggest city in India. And I'm pretty sure population-wise it's actually bigger than New York City. I need to Google that, but it's incredibly dense populace-wise.
Wow.
But yeah, I'll come up with an Indian dish. We're doing, okay. Gears turning.
So, Evan, if
We'll
you're
come
cooking Indian food, I also finished that dialed 100. I don't know
know.
if we had any bets or not, but I would have been the easiest to bet against.
I've got Kristen and the family and Becca and the family will have to deal with my cooking, but hopefully it will turn out good. And me and Cassie may have to make some stops. This is going to be fun. We'll do this.
Right on.
Do your kids like Indian food, Matt, or are they just going to be like, why did Evan bring us chicken masala? I hate this.
They're not as adventurous as, some people, but
I will make it spicy.
I think it's good to, have them experience some of the options that are out there other than like macaroni and cheese.
Yeah.
Or quesadillas.
You can just tell them this is like, what most kids in India would eat when you want to eat for lunch. So here you go.
We periodically have Indian food.
Indian
so,
food, yeah. Indian food's delicious. One of my favorites. Yeah.
Cool. And then just to wrap out the rest of the week, I still have not taken a day off. I think today will be 104.
Oh yeah, because it would have been Thanksgiving. It was Thursday. Yeah.
So
Jake, I did the same thing. I rode the day after, and then and I was gonna keep going, but then I swam and ran the next day, and I was like, you know what, this is a good day to take off. So I took off day 102, and then mountain biked yesterday. So
good.
Are you gonna keep going forever?
Am I gonna keep it going forever?
And the rhythm.
I don't
Make
know.
it to 200.
It's
you
hard
could probably
to
make it to 200.
I could if I wanted to. I was kind of thinking maybe just going to the end of the year.
It's going to be different when racing. If and when racing comes back, because that's when you get into tapering, cycling, needing that day off if you hit a big period block.
Yeah.
Like we just talked about. last time with Dylan Johnson's plan is like, if you were to do a block periodization, you would need a day at some point.
I'm monitoring and checking my fatigue scores. So if I see it to where it shows like you need a day off, you just need to stop and get off the bike, I will. And we'll just go from there. But
my dad made it through 100 too. Big shout out to him. That was so cool to see.
Mark did it.
Wow.
Yeah. My dad is 61 years old. Yeah. So he's been joking with me. His FTP is like 199 now, which is big for him. And he's
good.
lost a ton of weight over the last year or two. So he's getting back into some old man fitness. He'll yell for saying that, but
doesn't he have a buddy that did it with him as well?
I think so. I think he did. Yeah.
There's a couple people.
He's got a guy he rides a ton with.
Yeah. There's a couple people who told me that they finished it, and then they had other people that did it with him as well. So
got an Ohio following. There you go.
That's pretty awesome. So that was my week. Nothing fun to write home about, other than I did wholeheartedly try and take time off from work for 4 days, which was kind of hard, but it was good. It was needed. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody needs that.
Yeah, cool. All right, Champ is not here.
I got things to talk about though, because
so
I'm running
Price is going to step in his shoes.
I'm running like a Vegas betting circle on this race that no cyclists care about, but it is the little bit of racing we have right now. I saw the most depressing Instagram post today it was Julian Alaphilippe on Zwift. And it was, he hates Zwift, apparently.
Yeah.
Because Julian Alaphilippe is a real cyclist, so, he doesn't get on Zwift. But he's on Zwift, and he's, getting on and off the bike, like almost like he just wants to leave, and then he like kind of slumps back over and then gets back on the bike and then gets off the bike again. It's like this very much, and then he just has the post. He's like, can't wait for actual racing in 2021 or something. So
wow.
He's I think the poor cyclists are hitting a little bit of a lull. Cyclocross wise, Matthew van der Poel and Wout van Aert do seem like they're gearing up and preparing to race Cyclocross Worlds.
Yep.
Hopefully,
Wout
it will
got back
happen.
on the bike and raced last weekend.
Yeah.
And I think van der Poel's due back this coming week, maybe.
Yeah, I follow Van der Poel's training and his socials pretty intensely, and he's in some serious shape right now.
Looks like Mr. Hepler's back.
You
there, Lance?
Like a log haul trucker right now.
Well,
sorry, Tramp. You're getting run over right now, champ.
All I hoped is that you guys just were roasting me while I was gone. I really think that'd be better podcasting than listening to me drone on.
Yeah.
Right. How about this? We'll press pause on the lead out news real quick. And Lance, why don't you do a quick backpedal? I think you've got some racing updates on your end of things.
A little bit, yeah. I was sticking around Utah hoping there'd be one last cyclocross race, but smarter heads prevailed and they canceled the last race, which they should have. Cases are rising in Utah like they are everywhere, and they decided it'd be better for them just not to have the last race. So there's no more racing happening in Utah. I don't think there's any more racing really happening anywhere except Belgium right now. And so, yeah, I'm not sticking around Utah. I'm headed to Arizona for a couple days to try to find a little bit more warmth. So that's kind of what I'm planning on, I guess.
Well, is it probably like a nice balmy 75 there right now? Crisp 75?
That's exactly right. It's
that sounds terrible.
It's sunny.
That sounds so
in
awful.
Mesa. Yeah, it's kind of funny. We last night we slept at a place called Mineral Mountain, which is outside of Beaver, Utah, and when we woke up, it was 9 degrees this morning. 9. Yeah, it was 9. Yeah.
Well, that's what you get for going to a place called Beaver, Utah.
Dude.
Do people live in Beaver, Utah?
Yes, they do. Actually, one of the coolest and oldest gravel races in the country is based out of Beaver, Utah, called the Crusher in the Tusher. Put on by Yep.
Oh, that's awesome.
The Tusher Mountains are right outside of Beaver, Utah, and Burke Swindlehurst, a former pro,
what a name.
lives. I believe he lives in Cedar City, which is only an hour from Beaver, and he puts on this gravel race called the Crusher in the Tusher, and so it's kind of a cool spot.
Got to put that on the list for 2021 right there. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I think our friend Justin Wagner's done that race before.
Crusher in the Tusher?
Yeah.
Oh, Justin, message us if you've done that. That would be an awesome race.
Yeah, we should circle back with him.
Yeah.
If you're hearing this,
we should actually. Yeah,
Justin, if you're hearing this, Justin,
we miss you.
Ping us. We'll get you back on here.
Yeah.
The rest of the week, I still rode every day and did some very, very cold rides and just around the Utah area. Did some mountain biking, did some gravel riding, did some road riding, and basically enjoyed myself. So
cool.
That was it. Sounds
fun. You got any lead out news you want to throw out there, Mr. Lance Bailey?
Lance Bailey here. The only thing that happened in the world of racing, there was a UCI cyclocross race that happened in Belgium. Were you guys talking about that already?
We were just starting to open
we were just
that up.
talking about Woot and MVP basically, but yeah.
Yeah, so there's going to be 5 UCI races before the World Championships at the end of January. They normally have 9 or 12 or something like that. I don't know how many, but they're going to have 5 this year. And the first one was yesterday in Tabor, and Wout did race and actually managed to get on the podium. He got 3rd place. Matthew van der Poel is not going to do his first UCI race until the middle of December, so not for a couple more weeks.
Okay.
So that's what's happening there.
Those guys just don't take an off season, man. They are working around the clock.
Yeah, but it's working for them.
It is. Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, I think that they're kind of rewriting the script on the old adage for pro cyclists where it's like, during the winter, just ride long base miles with no intervals. And Woot's like, okay, I'm just going to go and win all the races and do the exact opposite of that.
Exactly. Yeah, so pretty good. Wout was right in it right up until the end. But Van Auerhout, I know I butchered that name. I believe that
sounds right.
He's the guy who won the race, and Ellie Iserbyt, who has been kind of dominating the European cyclocross scene with the absence of Wout and Van der Poel. He took second place. So
there are some people thinking that he can win the that he's right up there with Wout and MVP if they don't come to play. So
yeah,
that'll be fun to watch.
What I like about Iserbyt, he's a little guy. He's like, I don't know, he's like 5'6" and like 130 pounds. You know, where you got somebody like Wout and Van der Poel who are both like 6'4" or something.
I've always thought. Do you think Julian, like if Julian Alaphilippe had decided one year, like, I'm going to focus on cyclocross, I think he'd be great. He's a little powerhouse.
Back up.
Yeah.
He did cyclocross before he did road racing.
Really?
Huh.
Oh,
yes.
Good pick, Champ. Look at Champ with the Wikipedia knowledge right there. How'd he do?
Yeah, he was. He either placed or was world champion in cyclocross. I think he did very well. He won like the French national championship, and he's done lots of cyclocross races.
Great bike handler, short little powerhouse. Yeah, be a perfect cyclocross rider.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, real quick about a race that could... I feel like, Matt, even mentioning this race, I feel nervous mentioning this race because if it doesn't happen, I'm going to be so sad because I so want to watch this upcoming weekend. In the state of Florida, they are still planning on doing Challenge Daytona this weekend, which has become triathlon's world championship this year, basically, with a massive prize purse. It's like an almost $2 million prize purse.
Wow.
So it is going to be
huge for us.
Yeah, which is very, very big. Like, I think in the future, my hope is that PTO, the group that is sponsoring that prize purse, really takes over professional racing, and they kick out people like me and sponsor people who actually do the sport professionally. So,
did you know that they actually made a bid to buy Ironman at one point?
I saw that, yeah. I think that what they're going to do is just create their own professional schedule and try to combat Ironman. I think that they're just going to pick races and make them big prize purse races. But anyway, not to harp on this, but there's like 50 or 60 per the men's and women's field, and it is like all the best of all distances. The long distance, the short distance, and it's in this weird middle distance they've decided, which is going to be a 2K swim, an 80K bike, and an 18K run, which is not a distance you see. It's just kind of their own distance, basically.
What's okay? So this race is going to be amazing. You and I are super pumped. What's unfortunate is that probably the top two Ironman athletes in the world are not going to be there. Like on the men's and women's side.
Lucy Charles and Jan Frodeno will not be there, and I do not believe Daniela Ryf will be there either.
I was referring to Daniela Ryf as the top athlete.
Yes. Ooh, I consider Lucy Charles the top, but this is where me and Matt can argue on that in the future. But those three will not be there, which is huge missing, parts. That's both of your that's of the last three championships, Daniela's won 2 of them. And so you have Annie Hogg there, who's the defending Ironman world champ, but Daniela not being there is tough.
So Jan is injured, got hit by a car.
Yep.
Where are the other two?
I really don't know why Daniela's not there, to be completely honest, or why Lucy's not there.
That's a lot of money
It is.
When you're that level of an athlete to
$2 million
potentially miss out on.
And it's this strange blend of a lot of your draft legal athletes, which are your shorter distance athletes, the ones you watch in the Olympics.
Yeah.
Versus these long distance athletes, which is a rare pairing. I mean, this is Allie Brownlee, who was one of the favorites on the men's side, said this will be the most competitive race in triathlon history. And he's not over-exaggerating or overplaying it. If you look at it, there's never been a race that's going to be this fast. I mean, we're talking like 5 or 6 guys that are capable of running off the bike sub 110 half marathons, which is crazy. And everybody in this field is very strong cyclists at that top end too. So they're going to be racing on the Daytona track, which is basically just, I mean, you're just going around in loops. So it's going to be pretty viewer-friendly in the sense that as the dynamics of the race change, you're going to be able to see the dynamics of the race, unfold basically live.
Interesting.
Yeah.
My thought would be that a lot of people wouldn't show up just because of the travel to get there. That's
my guess why Danielle's not there. Yeah, Daniela.
I mean, COVID cases spiking. People were trying to stay out of airports and stay out at airplanes, and then to travel all the way to Florida for a race that might not happen.
Yeah,
I would guess some people just didn't.
It's pretty risky.
Yeah.
My hope is that I think they still have the amateur race that's happening, even though it's very limited. I hope they just cut the amateur race and just say, no, this is only going to be the 110 pros, and that's it. You just bubble it for those 110 pros, and that's it.
Where can people watch this race?
If you go on to challengedaytona.com, they have a link where if you donate, you can get the live stream. So,
gotcha.
Oh, you have to donate?
That's what we were seeing. I was going to donate either way, but yeah, I think you have to donate. So we were for sure going to do it either way. I'm very excited for that race. There's been a lot of trash talk going on, and that's the only bit I want to talk about because it's actually really interesting. I think PTO is trying to trump up some of the trash talking. They're trying to create characters and storylines, which sometimes looks a little forced, but I know a couple of these guys because when I lived in Colorado, I knew a couple of them, and I think it's pretty genuine trash talk. Sam Long and Morgan Pearson have been going back and forth. Sam Long is a long course-based athlete, a guy we've talked about on this channel before, and Morgan Pearson is, for people who know triathlon, he is the fastest American triathlete right now, in my personal opinion. He races short course. He's going to be our best Olympian. He comes from former professional running and is very, very strong. Sam recently said, oh, we'll have to see who runs faster between me or Morgan for the American title. And Morgan was quite offended by that and literally posted up, the nerve of this man, I can't believe he even thinks he can run with me. He can't run 1 mile at my half marathon pace. That caused a little bit of a stir, and you basically now have these two young 20s guys going at it on social media to the point where this morning Sam Long disabled his comments on all of his posts. So there was there was a little bit of aggression going back and forth there, which I personally think is great for the sport. I know some people were saying oh, they need to have more class. I was like, whatever. They're in their early 20s, and this sport needs. We've had way too many polite people in triathlon. We need a few more. You need a Lance Armstrong every once in a while. You need somebody to say things that get people mad, and I hope that both of them can kind of become that for the sport here, at least in America.
It seems to center around Sam Long, because I know he also got into it with Justin Metzler, I think is his name.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. I think him and Justin are a little bit more friends, though. Him and Morgan are not friends.
It looked jovial, because I think they train in the same pool, so...
They do. We'll him, Morgan, and Matt McElroy do not train together, so I think that's a little more genuine.
I think that, to be honest, a lot of the ITU guys are gonna just
they're gonna wipe the floor with
the
them.
Ironman crew.
Yeah, I think Lionel Sanders is the one who has a true chance. I have Lionel Sanders in second place on my prediction sheet. So,
who do you have for first?
Vincent Lewis. Yeah,
Vincent Lewis,
and then Allie Brownlee third.
If those guys can make the trip over, right?
Yeah, I think Allie is there already. And I think Vincent is traveling today or tomorrow. So we will see. We will see. It's a strange year for international racing, that is for sure.
Cool. You almost had me interested to
I know,
watch this.
right?
Almost, but
it's almost interesting enough, and it's shorter than Kona. So for any cyclist who's why would I sit down and watch 8 hours of racing straight when they're just time trialing? It's see, this is half the time, less than half the time.
So how long?
Yeah, I want to watch this really badly. I'm willing to donate if that's what you need to do. I didn't know if you have to donate to watch it or if it was going to be live. I thought it was just going to be live somewhere. But we'll
check up on that again, because I'm pretty sure the last time we checked it was donation, but they may change it. Who knows?
Roughly how much is that going to cost you to watch it, though?
Oh, $20. $10-20, I think.
$20?
Actually, I don't think there's a minimum amount, so you could probably just donate $5 and watch it.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then how long will it take for them to finish?
3 hours, I want to say.
Okay.
Let's shoot for around 3 hours, if I'm thinking correctly. 3 to 3.5 hours. Yeah. The run is going to be interesting, because I really think there's going to be a group coming off the run, and these guys are world-class runners. I mean, this is their one race this year. there's been a lot of trash talk going into this. These guys are going to bury themselves in this. Like, this is like if you had the entire cycling season all get canceled and they were like, we're just doing the World Championship in Switzerland, and it had like 2 massive climbs on it. You just watched every professional cyclist bring their A game to like one race. That's basically the equivalent of what this is going to be.
Interesting. And they're going to ride on the Daytona track?
Yeah.
They're going to swim.
And they're going to swim in the infield.
Okay. Are they going to run on the track as well?
Yeah. They like separate a portion out for the run on the track too. Huh. So the cool part with the run is, as Matt knows this, sometimes in Ironman, there's a lot of turns, so you can't really see where everybody is on the run. In this run, that's like a mile-long straightaway. You're going to see where everybody is the entire time.
Get a drone up in there, and you can just watch everybody.
Exactly.
Huh. That
Price, what do you think about on the women's side?
I've got a big underdog pick on the women's side. I hope Josh Monda's not listening to this because we're doing a bet between each other. So I've picked Nicola Spirig to win.
Okay.
Big underdog pick. She's a great ITUer. She was silver medal, I believe, at like the London Olympics. She's a little older. She's never really raced long distance, but she's a power cyclist and a great runner. And I think she's got a lot of power on the bike. She can hang with like the Lisa Nordens, the Sarah Crowleys, that crew. So she's going to be up there.
You have a pick, Matt?
Well, I actually think Paula Finlay's going to do well. I think it's kind of set up. Yeah. And I think it's a sweet spot for her, that distance, because she's definitely not like full Ironman, but she's definitely, she has that ITU background. She's cycling really well right now. I think that it bodes well for someone like her, but we'll see. I mean, I think that a lot of the ITU girls are going to be hard to beat.
Yeah, Paula's my number 2. So I think I hope Paula has an awesome race and wins a lot of money.
Yeah, right.
Cool. Mm-hmm. Well, enjoy watching that, fellas. Look forward to hearing about it next week.
I'm betting on Natasha Badman and Paula Radcliffe kind of jumping in there and mixing things up.
Paula Radcliffe. Tell you what, I'm not sure if she's much of a swimmer, Lance, but if we're talking 10 years ago on the run, I think she's got the run in the bag.
Yeah, it's all about the run. I thought that's what I thought.
Natasha Badman's probably in her 50s now. How old is she?
I don't know, but she was a crusher when she was racing.
She was stellar back in the day. She was like pre-Chrissy Wellington, wasn't she?
That is correct.
All right, all done?
Yep.
All right, lead out news out. Yeah.
There we go.
Lance Bailey out.
All right, let's jump into our topic for today. We're going to dive into Zwift. Zwift,
yes.
You guys. Let's review it. There's been a few things that have kind of been coming out about Zwift. Everybody's seemingly getting back into the indoor cycling stuff right now. We've talked about it before, but there's some things that are starting to come out, some things that are starting to change. So I just wanted to run through like kind of our review of it. Pros and cons, we all use it. Talk about maybe some things that are missing, and then just a bunch of other little tidbits of news that have come out. So let's go ahead and start with, we all use it. Let's talk about how we use it real quick. I think we all kind of come at it from a different angle, and I just want to get this out there so people can know that we have different perspectives on how we use this. So what are some things about Zwift that you love, Evan, and things that you use it for? And
Lance has the most interesting approach because I know he takes a similar I was just having this conversation with David Goodman and Dustin Schocken on how best to use Zwift. For me, I'm just neurotic with intervals, and I like to keep them simple. So I made all my own training. The Zwift workouts are way too complex, in my opinion. Speaking of, I know we over-talk about him, but Dylan Johnson has a great video about this where he dives into like their FTP builder. I think if you are somebody who's just trying to get fit, go for it. It's great.
Yeah.
But Dylan was talking like overcomplication of intervals is not a good approach.
No.
You should be training one system, maybe once a month. You can do a cool kind of kitchen sink workout. But if your goal is VO2 max, you shouldn't be throwing in like a bunch of yellows and greens. Anybody who's looked at a Zwift workout knows what I'm talking about when you say
color
yellows
code
and greens.
everything. Yeah.
So for me, I simplify all the workouts. I have all the workouts, and those are who I give to the kids who I coach too. And so I use Zwift for everything, but I had to take the time to go in and make my own workouts. I would not use their FTP builder. What I use Zwift for too is just motivation and the fact that, yes, could I probably be fitter if I was in 100% structured? Sure, but I really like jumping on there and racing people. Or I really love jumping on Thursday morning and just hammering with Nate on there just for no good reason.
Yep.
I mean, we are now almost a year into COVID, no racing. I mean, at this point, you got to find anything to help you get motivated. And virtually racing people is something I still get excited about. So that's primarily what I use Zwift for now.
Gotcha.
And all my indoor training. I don't use Trainer Road like Lance does or like David Goodman does.
Yep. Lance, talk to us about how you use Zwift.
For me, it's an absolute last resort. I definitely prefer to ride outside. I will ride outside in the cold and rain. I don't like riding outside in the cold, rain, and dark. And so if I can't get my ride in without that, then I will resort to Zwift. It can be very convenient, which is the great thing about it. I actually did a Zwift ride yesterday because I knew we were going to be traveling most of the day and I wouldn't be able to get an outside workout in. And so I had already had my bike set up on my trainer in my hotel room and was able to do a Zwift workout before most of my family even woke up. So that that was a good thing. But so I don't like the trainer. I prefer not to do it. So I like the fact with Zwift that there's always other people to ride with. Lately, if I'm not doing a group ride, I will jump on with one of the pacer bots, and then there's always a group of 20 or 30 or sometimes 500 people who are trying to stay with the pacer bot at a certain pace. And I'll usually jump in with the B pacer bot, and he holds about 25 miles an hour for whatever Titans Grove loop that he does. And it's a challenge for me just to stay with that group and then try to go off the front of that group when it goes uphill. So I think I certainly like the fact that I can ride with friends when we can't get together in real life, and that it's motivating to just try to stay with the group.
Yeah, those pacer bots are actually kind of cool because if you don't want to get in there, just sit in straight erg mode, and you want to have a little bit of say in terms of like what your pace is going to look like, it's kind of nice to be able to get in there because you still have to kind of plug in, you still kind of have to pay attention, and you can float off the front if you want, or if you do fall off the back, you got to kind of hustle to get back on versus just sitting in there in erg mode pushing the same watts for.
Yeah, and this is another big, I think, debate or just thing that we see on Zwift. So does everybody here, I'll use erg mode pretty frequently. Does anybody else use erg mode or usually free ride? Anybody who's listening who doesn't know, those two, erg mode locks you into a certain power, so it is very hard to adjust cadence when you're in erg mode. When you're free ride, you can shift, adjust your cadence, yada yada. You know, shift up and down your power in a wider range. Yeah. Erg mode basically holds you at, like, if the set is 300 watts, you're holding right at 300 watts the entire time.
You don't feel any of the hills. You don't feel any draft. You don't get any of that that feedback or that real world feel. But you're in a very specific workout and a specific amount of watts, and that's very useful when you're getting into training.
Yeah.
So for doing interval sets, that's the only time I really use it. More times than not, though, I'm just free riding. And then how about you, Matt? How do you use Zwift?
I mean, so when you're on a 100-day challenge and you live in the Pacific Northwest where it's rainy, you just jump on Zwift. That's how I use it. And I think I'm like Lance. I don't love Zwift. I don't like riding indoors that much, but it's definitely fits the void of, like, you need to do something, and it's better than nothing. And then the other piece is the kind of, like, the fact that I've seen so many people be successful with that product. It's a bit inspirational, just knowing, like, hey, I can go hop on this thing, even though right now I'm not good at it. There should be the potential to get better at this particular product, right? Like, people do it. People, like, do it day in, day out. Like, I think of Lionel Sanders, and I know he's probably not the best example, but, like, he is always on the trainer. He's always on Zwift.
Yeah, he does, like,
he gets pretty fit doing it.
98% of his training probably on Zwift, yeah.
So, you know, I see the value, and I just haven't executed well enough on that to really get over the current state of just kind of floundering on the product currently. I don't do a lot of Zwift racing. I should probably test that out. I've tested out the pacer bots. That's fine. I kind of am like, you know, Evan in some ways, where I kind of like to do my own workouts, but that's, you know, but I have done, you know, I don't, Evan complained about the workouts with this. I've used their workouts to a lot of success, Their sweet spot training workouts are good. I don't think I need like the most precise training program. It's just like I need a workout. And, Zwift is, it's not free, but I'm already paying for it. So it's like, might as well do these workouts. So
absolutely.
So I think it's good, but also necessary evil. I don't know.
Necessary evil.
I have mixed feelings on it. Let's at least leave it at that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a great supplement for cycling. I like everybody else would prefer to ride outside. It's unfortunately not always conducive here. We've got early days, so with the sun going down at like 4:30 in the afternoon, and me not getting out of the lab until like 5 o'clock, it's already dark out, and I don't really want to be outside riding by myself at night, especially when it's going to be 40 or 41 degrees and raining, and there's cars, and I just don't want to mix it up with that. So there is a component to that allows me to still get my ride in, get my cycling consumption done, and to be able to plug in with other people. The big thing for me is the ability to use the meetup function on there. I think that is well worth it, just because we can get our team together, and especially during the COVID times, to be able to get together and ride and conversate with each other and kind of push the envelope a little bit and just have a lot of fun. That makes it worth it to me, that alone. And then all of the other stuff just becomes like complimentary little icing on the cake kind of thing. So racing, I still have not done a Zwift race. And I was thinking about that before we started this. I'm like, well, why haven't I done a race on there? And a lot of it comes back to, well, I'm a competitive person, but also like an even playing field. And it seems like there are just way too many people out there that are doing something, whether it's adjusting their weight or whether they contracted Matt to build them an app so that they can bump up their watts or whatever. It just, I feel like it's not, I don't know. Everything's like there's a margin of error there. Like different trainers are going to provide different things, and sometimes if you don't calibrate and maybe you're too high or you're too low, there's too many variables in there that you kind of lose that touch of like real life racing. I don't know, that is probably the big reason why I haven't done it yet. And the other part is like, well, if I'm following a program or whatnot, I'm not going to really build racing in there usually, even though it's probably not a bad idea sometimes. But I don't know. I haven't been compelled to go do it yet.
Racing is just basically to simulate. For me, I've disconnected myself entirely, almost as a joke of like getting results. I'm not built like a Zwift racer. You got to have very, very, very high match burning. Like, you got to have high watt efforts. You got to be pretty darn solid at like those criterium type efforts. It's almost like if a crit and a short time trial had a child. That's a Zwift race. You got so I'll use the Saturday one that me and Nate are doing. Me and Nate and Josh are doing consistently now. I get dropped at the 15-minute mark of this thing every single time. It's like, it's basically you start out at what would be considered well above your VO2 max effort. You somehow have to then settle back into your FTP, and you just try and hold that for as long as you can with random spikes. So it really does not reflect actual bike racing at any time, because even criterium racing, I mean, you think of criterium racing, you're basically bouncing between 0 watts and whatever is your threshold to VO2 over and over again. Very rarely during a Zwift race are you ever off the pedals. I mean, if you're off the pedals, it's because you're going down a downhill for like 5 seconds maybe. But that's about it. So the racing is a skill set in itself. And if you've experimented in there, I'll use Dustin as an example. Dustin just got into his first Zwift, his like first or second Zwift race, and he actually won. So Dustin's got a track cycling background, which we were talking. Track cycling reflects Zwift pretty closely.
Yeah.
You're never really, well, you can be off the pedals in track, but usually you are not off the pressure on a track race.
Nope.
It is short. It is intense. Zwift racing is not like this long road race where you're like clipping in and then you're like, all right, man, there goes the guy, let's go and let him go. No, if that guy goes, everybody goes and follows him. It'd almost be like chasing Dr. Handel over and over and over again for an entire race that only lasted like one lap, basically.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting style of racing, but I like it if you're thinking today I need threshold work, like in general, you're like, I have an hour and I need threshold work. There's your Zwift race. And as long as you're not going to get, you kind of got to disconnect that competitiveness with it, because odds are you're probably not going to place very well because you don't know how to do the video game.
Yeah,
you got to know how to race the video game.
Agree with what you're saying right there for me. And I've had those moments where I'm like, all right, I need to go do that. But then it's like, all right, I got to go figure out how to do this racing. When does it start? And there's like, you just can't just jump on and just go. So like a lot of times, like if I have to get on and start riding at, I don't know, like 43. I don't want to sit around and wait until 7 o'clock for a race to start.
Exactly.
So I just get on and start riding.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's why really right now I'm only doing once a week. It's just the Saturday. It just works with the Saturday morning.
Yeah.
So you just know that that's the time you're going to race each week.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool. So, yeah, I just haven't bought into the whole Zwift thing. So let's go and talk about some pros and cons of Zwift.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have some cons that you want to throw out there that you don't like about the program?
I've got cons right off the bat just because, and I think this is a con with just the world right now in general, is it continues this desocialization. I understand people are scared of the road because I'm also scared of the road, getting hit by cars, being out in group rides. My fear is that virtual racing for amateurs will slowly start replacing road racing, outdoor experiences, which I think are really important. And also, if you just want to develop as a cyclist, this coming from somebody who, races triathlons and was a, completely average Cat 3 cyclist, is you need to be in those group situations to road race well or to gravel race well or to cross race well. And even though you can build an engine on Zwift, a big con is you really don't develop as a cyclist unless your goal is triathlon and hanging out in the aero position and riding circles around Daytona track. For Lionel Sanders, works wonderfully. The man has developed an engine that literally got him the Canadian hour record on just Zwift, which is amazing. But if your goal is to also ride next to people at some point, you need to develop outside. And I think Zwift continues this kind of desocialization, which I think we're seeing just in sports in general.
Gotcha. How about you, Lance?
We've seen that amongst.
Whoa, breaking up there.
That
Table that thought for just a second. We'll come back. We'll come back to you in just a second, Lance. Let's let you get into a better spot. Matt, what about you?
As Lance is in the Arizona wilderness.
What are some of your cons, Matt?
Go ahead.
What are some of your cons with Zwift?
I think obviously, I agree with a lot of what Evan said, for sure. It doesn't feel real to me. Like, I have zero motivation. If some virtual person passes me, I think I'm numb to that.
Matt, what is wrong with you? Why would you not want to virtually chase somebody in Belgium who just lied about their weight by 30 pounds?
I'm usually like, I put on Zwift because it's there, and because it's going to auto upload to everything. It's like, and there's a couple little carrots in there, but the reality is, like, I'll also turn on YouTube or some video or some movie or whatever and like completely block out Zwift. It's just it's probably the most engaging platform, and it's just not that engaging. I think that they're doing a great job with what they're doing. I just think, like, you're not outside. You're not breathing real air. It's just like, if Lance sprints and we're outside, I know I can't beat Lance. But, like, I'm going to try. I'm going to pick up the pace. Like, immediately, even if I don't even think about it, my watts are going to jump up to, like, 400. Whereas if someone randomly passes me on – this even happened mountain biking yesterday. Some guy passed me climbing up a gravel hill, and I just immediately just started, like, putting out bigger watts. And I was like, this is pointless. Like, I'm not even a mountain biker. Like, who cares? But you're in real life and someone is passing you, and that is just like, there's an instant reaction to that. Whereas with Zwift, I don't have any of that. So it's so easy for me to be like, yeah, 100 watts. I'm going to sit here and hold 100 watts and watch my video.
See, I think that's a much more reasonable approach. And I think 99% of people have that. Like, people who are talking about doing Zwift racing, people who take Zwift racing seriously is an incredibly small portion of the population. Because not only do you need to be competitive, you need to be, like, irrationally competitive for no reason. You're racing somebody who you don't know. They could be lying. Who cares? Like, why are you that competitive over this? I ask myself that question all the time.
Okay, so for me, Zwift racing is like, hang on because you can take advantage of the draft. Like, as long as possible until you can't.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily really racing. Actually, you know what? Even our team ride is the same way, where it's like, hey, we do our Tuesday team ride. It's like, hang on as long as you can. And to me, that's a fun challenge. Hang on as long as you can. When you get dropped, you get dropped. And that's good. That's one of the things I would actually loop into the positives of Zwift, and not a negative. But again, it's the everyday ride when someone passes you that I don't care about. Like, you're not with your team. You're not with the people that that you care about. It's just some random person from Switzerland. Yep, see you later. Don't care. I hope they're having a good workout, but I'm watching my Breaking Bad or whatever, whatever the show is. But
Breaking Bad. Have you not finished Breaking Bad yet?
I actually threw out a name of a show that I thought people would like connect with. I've never seen Breaking Bad.
What?
So,
oh, Matt, you got to check that out.
You're the worst.
Stop what you're doing.
You're the
Go
worst
watch Breaking
politician ever. If you were a good politician, you would have just pretended like you knew what Breaking Bad was there. You're like, oh yeah, drugs. Man, Breaking Bad.
Yeah. No, I'm too honest for politics.
Yep.
Lance, it looks like you might be back. We've got a better video connection with you, so I think we can hear you this time. What were your cons with Zwift?
Well, it's funny. I take a little bit of the different approach with Matt. When I'm on Zwift, I tend to turn everything else off and engage with it so that I can chase down the people that pass me, or that I can stay with the group. That's the thing with riding with the Pacer bot. If you want that draft advantage, you have to stay with the group. So
Correct.
if I look down or look away or lose focus for a while and I drop off, then it's a 350 watt interval to catch back up to the group, if I've tailed off a ways.
True.
So I guess that's part of the thing I like about Zwift. That's not what you asked though. You asked me what my cons were. My cons were it's too easy to cheat on it.
Yep.
That's the one thing I don't like, and having a smart trainer or not, it makes a huge difference on how the game works for you. Mm-hmm. And smart trainers are expensive. Therefore, it's not just $15 a month. It's also the cost of having that smart trainer if you really want to have a good experience with it. So
That's true.
That's what those are the things I don't like. I don't like the fact that they don't have an integrated video or talking system.
Oh, he's talking about talking system with
like Discord, basically.
So we use Discord, but
Yeah.
Zwift should integrate
They
that.
really should have that.
That'll probably be their next step.
We
I
have
would
to use a
guess.
third. We hope so. Evan hasn't even figured out how to use Discord, so whenever he's in our
Oh,
meetups,
no.
we can't ever talk to him because
I
we
do.
don't
I
even
just
know
don't want to talk to you.
Well, there's that I do believe. That makes more sense. Actually.
No, I know. I'm trying. I need to clear up my Tuesday evening so I can make the team ride, not just have to jump in late. But yeah.
I've heard some whispers of them talking about coming up with some sort of a way to integrate that into the platform so people don't have to use Discord. And you think that would make a lot of sense because that connectivity is something that people thrive on, especially in this day and age. Not being able to talk with people, I don't know. It's nice to be able to do that when we're using Discord when we're doing our Tuesday night rides.
Absolutely.
Cool. For me, a couple of the cons would be $15 a month. Feels like it's starting to get a little bit expensive. It was $10 a month for the longest time, and then they bumped it up, and then they passed along the sales tax as well. So it ends up being $16 and change for me every single month. I'm like, all right, we're starting to get into the land of how much does a gym membership cost?
Yeah.
So you're kind of there, and then you're talking about, all right, well, if I have a membership to Training Peaks, or what if I wanted to go somewhere that has a better training platform for workouts? So maybe I'm going to look at Trainer Road. So those two things, you're looking at about another $15 per platform. So all of a sudden, I'm paying $45 just for the use of those three things. Then you slap on the $6 a month for Strava?
Yeah.
And it's like everybody's putting their hand in your pocket
Buying
for
new smart trainers.
Yeah, well, that's just the monthly residual fee because those fees, they start to add up. And if you multiply that times 12 months and look at how much you're spending per year, it's like, all right, what value am I getting out of this? Do I think the value is there for Zwift? Yeah, but there's still, I think, maybe $10 I think is more of a sweet spot. I don't know. I don't want to squabble over $5. I mean, just like have one less cup of coffee or something like that from Starbucks. But
I will not.
I just feel like it's getting up there, especially knowing that there's an article that we're going to reference here that DC Rainmaker is the one who just put it out about the group ride that the CEO of Zwift led, and he did a big Q&A session, and there was about 3,000 people in there, and DC Rainmaker pretty much went back and went through the whole thing and just kind of had his points on there. But some of the topics that came up were how many people have jumped on it, and they have, like, I think it's doubled, if not tripled, their membership since the start of COVID. And they were already a big, huge, giant
right now.
entity. So you have that extra cash flow that's coming in. Plus, they just recently did a little investment thing where they did a round of investments and took on $450 million. I'd have to go check my notes, but I believe it was right there in that ballpark, 450, 430, somewhere in there, $1 million for further development.
Holy cow.
So they've got a war chest of things that they could do. So, yeah, it'd be nice to see them, A, maybe make it a little bit more affordable, or B,
start adding some
better
cool bits to it,
better things, like have the talk stuff, have better programs in there that are made by professional coaches, and some of them probably are, but I know that Matt alluded to the fact that he thinks that they're good, and Evan talked about how they're like overcomplicated. I tend to lean a little bit more towards Evan because I don't think they need to get all fancy just for sake of having all these different colors.
I think they need to take more of a trainer road approach, which is they need to bring in coaches that are doing a good job with that. I will say, I don't think if your goal is a 12-week build, I looked through Dylan's video, and there's good workouts in there, but the structure of the workouts is very random. One of his best examples was there was 1 week in the FTP builder that's got like 4 days where you're over VO2 max for efforts. It's like, why? And then one of the days is like 2 1 minute with like a bunch of random threshold work. It's like there's no rhyme or reason to it. And it's like, if you're going to raise the price, there better be a rhyme or reason to it, because then you're paying for coaching. So that's where it needs to be better. But I mean, it may be this next year. Zwift is, for me, I have way more pros with Zwift than I ever do cons.
Sure.
Because I use it frequently, and I think it's great. But, yeah, I think if they're going to continue to increase the price, then hopefully it just gets better and better.
Yeah, and if you're using the likes of, like, Trainer Road, again, that's going to be an additional monthly charge. But let's say that you really fancy their training programs, and you think that they're going to work well for you. You've been using them for a while, and you like them a lot. You can't just put them into Zwift. They just won't let you do that, which makes sense because they need to protect their business model and whatnot. So you can run the two programs simultaneously, which is a bit of a hassle, but you can still do that. And you're connected to one device via AMP Plus and the other device via Bluetooth, and it's all kind of working. But again, that's just so many little loopholes and that you're trying to like plug just to be able to make a program work for you. You've got to go out and buy maybe another device, or you've got to go get an AMP Plus dongle, and all these. There's just too many little steps. Why can't Zwift just have a better platform like Trainer Road, or better yet, why don't they buy them?
Yeah,
they've got this massive war chest. Go buy them.
Do you think Trainer Road would sell for? I mean, what do you think Trainer Road would sell for?
No idea. They're doing well for themselves, though.
I mean, they're doing well, but they got a niche market. Yeah.
Well, from a perspective of Zwift, it would be like pennies on the dollar. I don't think it would be a massive undertaking for them. I think their staff is probably 20 to 50 people, and Zwift is just a big organization at this point.
They're doing.
I think they could afford Trainer Road if they wanted to.
Yeah.
Just think about that. Now you're going to be attached to Zwift. If they were to purchase a Trainer Road, then you can actually like push your workouts to your head unit. You can go right outside, and you're still like using that branded Zwift workout. I mean, there's a lot to be said to that.
There is.
There's some good value in there for sure. I wonder if Zwift would rather develop it themselves, so that they can tweak some stuff as opposed to pulling in that stuff. Usually a lot of these purchases, you're purchasing it for the user basis. Yeah. So the number of users that Trainer Road has, which is also small potatoes compared to Zwift, or talent acquisition if they have like a really strong developer staff. So I'm not sure if that's the case for either of these. I don't see that purchase happening.
Yeah. Well, something like that would make a heck of a lot of sense because the credibility that Trainer Road would bring to their training programs would be fantastic, and they've got a great little platform. I've spent some time recently digging into it just to kind of get more familiarized with how it all works, and even pushing stuff to head units and going out and testing out a workout. And it's a pretty solid little program, and it would be nice to see something like that integrated into Zwift. It wasn't.
Maybe it's more of a like Trainer Road is like two. They're like that small group. It's very proud of what they have and what they have to offer, and they kind of see Zwift is like Walmart. It's like if New Seasons was to get bought by Walmart. It's like, that's not something that maybe Trainer Road wants to get involved with.
Maybe.
There is a little, one of the cons, I think, to Zwift, and we talked about this with Ober too, I think some people kind of look down on Zwift a little bit, almost like it's gimmicky. I don't know how to describe it. There's like a certain tone that people talk about Zwift with. Lance. and there's, but I think that maybe that could block a conversation between a group like Trainer Road and Zwift. But
there's going to be that sect of people that are always going to talk poorly on it.
Yeah.
To a certain degree, I'm going to even have some poor things to say about it. But when I look at it from a whole perspective, I think that the value is definitely there. Mm-hmm. And if you want to talk down on that, or if you're too cool for school for like Strava,
that's kind of how I see it. Is too cool.
It's just
for
like,
school.
all right, get over yourself. All right.
Yeah.
And I also think that you're in the minority. And if that's how you want to be, that's fine. You don't have to like it. No, we don't all have to like the same things. But if you can find value in that, and it's going to help you become a better cyclist, and it's going to help build community, and it's going to help people get to be more active and fit and fall in love with the road or the sport of cycling, I'm all for that. Mm-hmm. Even Ruvi, I think that's a platform. I mean, could be better. Absolutely. Is it terrible? No, it's getting people out there riding bikes, and it's interactive, and people are finding enjoyment with it, and the price is probably a little bit better. Yeah, that's fine. It's just not for me. But
even these like Pelotons to me is great. I mean, I hope that there's a really affordable option that comes, because Pelotons are very expensive. I hope that there's another group that comes out to become competitive with Peloton and drives the price down a little bit. But I think those are great. Anything that can get somebody thinking that intervals is worth their time is great.
Yeah, we'll get into that in just a minute, because there's some word from Zwift land with respect to what Peloton is doing, and some offerings that might be coming down the pipeline there. We'll get to that in a moment, though. Just a couple more from me. The speed is off. They need to fix that. Like, I can go do like an easy pedestrian ride, and if I'm doing it outside, it's probably going to come back at like maybe 17 miles an hour. And then if it's on flat, just going super easy, low watts. And then I go and I do it on Zwift, no drafting, 20 miles an hour. So that is off, and I think that they need to recalculate their whatever is an algorithm or whatever their program is.
Every race is like 30 miles an hour too.
That's just not.
Every race is so fast.
It's just not reality. So they need to drop that down and make that a little bit more realistic, because it does inflate things, and like you don't want someone. Well, not that it really matters, I guess, at the end of the day. But people like, oh yeah, I went out and I busted out like 25 miles in an hour. Yeah. Like, you know how hard that is to do that?
Oh, so hard. Yeah.
Like if I'm on my road bike on the flattest roads, like out of Vancouver Lake, and we're doing the Jack Frost time trial, granted that's only
you got to be on a time trial bike to be averaging 25 miles an hour. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can do it, but I'm putting out some pretty big watts. And if I took those same watts and put them into Zwift land, and
like 28 miles an hour,
it's going to be like
28.
It's off by a few miles per hour. So.
Yeah.
Jake, do you think that's because there's so much drafting on Zwiftland, and that there's a current of people going the same direction that you don't have at Vancouver Lake, or do you think it's because their calculations are just really far off?
100% their calculations are off.
I think that 100%. They assume you're on like the newest of asphalt, just the blacktop that's like just crystal clear. There's like zero rolling resistance, basically.
Maybe if you've got a massive tailwind, that's seriously that
operating
you're going to get
with a 10 mile an hour tailwind at all times.
I've ridden plenty of times on Zwift with nobody else around, not riding with any groups, not following any pacer bots, not doing anything other than just riding. And I look down at my speed, and I'm like, I'm not going that fast. It's just not reality.
Yeah.
So.
I will admit,
I did an outside ride like 2 days ago near Utah Lake in Provo, where I almost, for like 2.5 hours, I almost averaged like 21 miles an hour. And I was working hard to try to average that. It was totally flat, very little bit climbing. 2.5 hours, I averaged about 20 miles an hour. I get on Zwift, and at like 115 heart rate, I can average 26 if I'm in a group.
Yep. Well, granted, that's in a group, but if you'd taken that same power profile and that you did outside, and you somehow like put that into Zwiftland and let it kind of run through its thing, you're going to come back with a speed probably closer to 25 miles an hour with no drafting.
Yeah, correct.
That's just something that's kind of off that they need to figure out, fix, whatever. And then, like Evan alluded to, the other thing for me is like bike handling. People just are not getting the bike handling skills that they need. So,
and even as a climber too, I can't believe I just call. I'm sure that Sepkus would roll his eyes at me calling myself a climber in any way. Any actual climber would roll their eyes at that. But like for me, I whip the bike around a lot and use the road as a climber quite a bit.
Yeah,
cannot do that on the trainer. So. For me, climbing in Zwift world is much, much harder than climbing outdoors. I really, really like climbing outdoors. You can use your body a lot more. there's a certain cadence to up and in and out of the saddle. There's a little bit more upper body use. On the trainer, that bike is locked in. It is purely sit down, put the watts out, get up out of the saddle when it gets really steep. But I genuinely think climbing outside is easier than it is on Zwift.
Gotcha. I agree. How about some pros? Do you guys have some pros for this? Like, what is it that keeps you coming back? Why do you keep your subscription rolling?
I love the fact that no matter what, I can get my ride in for the day.
Yes.
It's always there, and for me, it's engaging much more than just sitting on the trainer and staring at nothing or staring at the brick wall like Evan does, or watching a movie.
Or old Tour de France DVDs like I used to on my old kinetic fluid trainer.
There you go.
Yeah, for me, it was a pretty low bar, actually. What I was doing before was kinetic trainer during Ohio winters, and I would watch the same Tour de France stages over and over again for a decade. And as soon as YouTube came around on the TVs, and then all of a sudden smart trainers and Zwift were a thing, it was incredible. Like, for me, it's great. I could sit there for 5-6 hours and be fully entertained on Zwift.
Nice.
I'm a pretty low bar.
Would you guys put the gamification of Zwift under a pro or a con? Like with you get the little drips, so you can take those and you can upgrade bikes and componentries. There's challenges that you can unlock new bikes. You can get different levels. And that open up different things. Do you guys enjoy the gamification component of Zwift?
I know people that
I don't care about it.
I don't. Yeah.
You cared about your.
We say we don't care about it, but like I noticed, I just bumped up to level 30. I can't even remember if it's 33 or 34. But like, you know, it was like on the 99th day of our challenge. I was like, you know what? That's something, right? It's like, it's better than having some gamification is better than not having it.
Yeah, because it'd be cool to make it to 50. I still don't know how to get the Tron bike. You have to like sign up for something. I'm not sure.
I need to do that too.
The Mount Everest challenge or whatever the climbing challenge is.
Sign up for it.
You have to sign up, and it doesn't retroactively go back and look at all the elevation gains. So
yeah, okay.
Yeah, well, I think we all figured that one out kind of the hard way. Hey, wait a second. How did that person get that bike? Oh, you got to go sign up for a thing, and you go sign up, and you're like, oh, my God, this is going to take me forever. And it took me like 4 or 5 months to get that. But that was the only thing that was gamified within Zwift that I cared about.
It's on Alta Zwift.
Yeah.
It took me like 2 years, Jake, to get the Tron bike.
Yeah, I changed my habits on Zwift when I was using it. When I was coming through my rehab phase from when I got hit by the car, I changed the routes that I was doing. The amount of climbing was paramount to me. Like that was like the number one thing. It's like, all right, what route am I doing, and how much elevation gain am I going to get, and how much am I going to chip away at this stupid thing because I want that stupid bike. And I look back on it, and I'm like, that's kind of dumb, but at the same time, it was fun. It was engaging. So I mean, that component I think is fun. Now, the fact that somebody has sat on there and they've put in the time and they've gone and done a crap ton of climbing, I don't know if it necessarily made them stronger, but they end up getting a better bike out of it. And people have actually gotten popped for the racing that happens if they somehow come across or they get that Tron bike without going out there and earning it themselves. So there are people that have been
popping people for that. That's good.
Yeah. So that in itself is going to give you an inherent advantage. So, like, if you jump on and you don't have your Tron bike, and I jump on and I have my Tron bike, I have an automatic advantage.
Yeah.
Now, in the real world, somebody could go out and have like a $10,000 race bike, and you show up with like your $3,000 or $4,000 race bike. Yeah, there's probably going to be a little bit of a weight difference there. There's going to be a few advantages. So I guess that kind of happens in the real world. But do you think that that's something that should skew the way that a race is going to finish in Zwift because you have one bike and another person doesn't?
Well, it makes me mad because on this Saturday morning when everybody's on some elite bike or Tron bike, and I'm just getting spit out the back every time we hit a descent because apparently the Tron bike descends decently well. But all those bikes have benefits, and there's not from the rankings I've seen, there's not one that's like way significantly better because even the Tron bike does not climb as well as the Madone, which is which is not as valuable of a bike.
You're just looking at an all-arounder. That's going to be your best all-around bike, but there are bikes that are more specific to time trialing or descending or climbing.
And that's where it gets tough because if you're racing a time trial race and you jump on one of the better Zwift time trial bikes, clear advantage just right off the bat. I don't think they're mapping your arrow position either on the bike. I'm pretty sure I don't think they're taking a look at you in the arrows. You can basically sit as upright as you wanted and power away.
Any other pros, you guys? Things that you really take away from Zwift that you like a lot? I can say that I know that my wife and a group of her friends who are all getting pretty firmly entrenched in this whole wanting to do triathlon stuff, and even some of them are like didn't even know that they liked cycling have gotten on, and they've started to cycle on Zwift quite a bit, and they're starting to talk about wanting to do some bike racing. I think that's pretty awesome. But I think it makes the transitional process for somebody that's maybe a little bit nervous about getting on a bike in general. They don't have to they can do it from the confines of their own home. There's something like that's kind of safe about that. They don't have to go out there mixed up with traffic. They don't have to worry about bike handling skills. They can just develop their engine and know that that they can start to take little bites out of those other things as they go, but they're still going to get their training in, as opposed to like, all right, well, the only way you're going to get faster on a road bike is to go out and ride on the road. Well, this time of year it's kind of hard for them. Like, my wife's not going to necessarily going to want to go out all of the time and ride, or she's not going to get up. She does a lot of her training first thing in the morning, so she's sometimes on there at 5:30 in the morning riding, and she's not going to go do that outside. So she's falling in love with the sport of cycling, and I think that Zwift is making it be an easy transition for her to do that, which makes me happy. And now that she can go outside on like the weekends when the weather's nice and go ride with her friends, or even when it was crappy like this past weekend, she's out there and she's got the strength to be able to do the rides, and then she'll start to develop those other small things, whereas she probably wouldn't have done that without the likes of Zwift.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest pro from Zwift, is being able to build an engine where you can go outside and actually enjoy rides. Because like we know, it's not that enjoyable to get dropped in a group ride. No. It's not. Everybody's got to go through that and take your licks, but it's not that enjoyable. So if you're able to build during a winter where there's less of that risk of you getting dropped and lost outside or hit by a car, then yeah, it's definitely worthwhile to build that engine where you can go and enjoy group rides once the weather's nice.
Gotcha. Any other pros you guys want to throw out there real quick before we move on? Lance, you got something?
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay.
No.
Nope. Okay, let's talk about what is missing from the platform. What do they need to do to make this better, more valuable, and more enjoyable? You guys have anything you want to toss out there, Matt? You got anything that you think that they're missing?
So I think all of us agree that Watopia is the best world. So they have these different worlds in Zwift where you can go, and if you're not familiar with the product, but we all think that Watopia is the best by far. It's not even close, right?
Correct.
I think that they need a competitor to Watopia that's something decent, some sort of like second world that's as good or very close to as good as Watopia. And I don't think they're heading that direction. The direction that they're heading is like, well, we're going to do France, which is fine. We're going to do New York in the future, which is not great. And it's like they're trying some different things, but like just make another island if you need to, but like make something interesting.
Or what about just expanding upon Watopia, making Watopia even bigger and more diverse?
And it sounded like that's what their plan is.
Yeah.
It's just which is great. That's fine. I just think, man, I would love to see.
And don't do anything like space-wise. God, if they come out and it's like Mars racing, it's like, oh god, that's gonna suck. If they do some like space course or something like that.
Not for nothing. I kind of get that
like
gimmicky vibe
course
from the New York thing where you're riding around on like space
like,
translucent bridges and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Now the park perimeter loop I think is a good one. Everything else there, I'm just like it's not my thing.
Yeah, the park perimeter loop is really cool. I've done a couple races on that one. That one's fun.
Yeah.
But no, I think they need to do a genuine. They have some cobbled stuff, but I think it'd be really cool if they actually like tried to map out like a Tour of Flanders type course or something like that. Like short. Well, and the Richmond course kind of does that, where it's got that, two steep cobbled climbs right there. But, a couple more courses like that would be cool.
I think consensus is that Richmond's the worst course on there, though, right?
It's a brutal course. That course sucks. That's like racing on Richmond is terrible because you hit that one, like, let's say between a 60 and 90 second VO2 max effort. You go down the little hill, and then you hit like a 40-second, like, all-out effort.
Yeah.
You go down that hill, and then you got a steady climb to the finish. It is an awful, like, it's
just the land
painful.
itself, though. It's not very well attended when it's one of the options that's up there. So
no, because that's a terribly hard progression.
I think London is probably, in my opinion, number 2.
London's cool.
That's the second best, but it's a far back second place. But it's probably the most diverse for all of the other lands, with Watopia being set aside. Would you guys agree about that?
Yeah, I think London, and I mean, some people really like New York. I hate New York because the climbs are a little bit too steep. But yeah, London's cool. France has potential. I haven't figured out France's routes yet. I haven't done enough France riding.
Yeah.
France seems to be pretty interesting, though.
All right.
It seems to me like they're just going like event by event. Like, where's the World Championships? We'll make a course for that. And they're
like
not really
Innsbruck.
thinking about like what would make the best course regardless of where the World Championships are this year. You know, in Watopia, that's what they're doing. They're saying like, this is the best, coolest course, weirdest stuff that we can put in there to make it fun to like travel through.
Gotcha.
And then the rest of the courses are just like, yeah, look at us. We're doing something that's similar to some race that's on the internet. But I don't know. I just like to see them take some of those other worlds a little bit further and rethink like why they're interesting.
Yeah, you want to make people want to jump on those too, because you don't want to go on and then everybody, like a vast majority of people are in Watopia, and it doesn't feel crowded, but there's just a lot of people there in general. It would be kind of nice if they just kind of spread it out so it wasn't so lopsided, I guess. In terms of things that are missing, they've had this out in beta for some time, but it still hasn't really gone anywhere. But the clubs, having the ability to have a club so that people can join a club or make it more simplistic for people on clubs to go set up their club on Zwift and so that they can put together club rides, I think that would be fantastic. It would be so much easier than telling people like, all right, we're doing our Tuesday night ride. You have to go on there. You have to follow me. I don't want to make it sound like I'm trying to just get followers, but that's the only way that I can send you an invite.
Yeah.
And then like once you follow me, then we'll connect.
Weird.
And then I've got to go through and I've got to select all the names of all the people that are following me to know that I'm going to send them an invite. It would be nice just to say, hey, go on, join our club. We'll send out an invite to everybody, and period. That's done. You don't have to go through all these little hoops of telling people how they can connect or be a part of that ride.
Mm-hmm.
It just they need to make that more streamlined, more simplistic.
Yeah, I agree.
It would be cool if they did like if you had a club, you could also have like a club jersey as well. I mean,
that would be fantastic.
Like all of us would. I feel like all of us would use that. Not just us, but like almost. I bet like 90% of the people inside of Zwift, and maybe they won't do that because they want to sell jerseys or have their little like point system. I don't know.
They used to do it in the beginning for the first couple of years. You had to have, I think it was something like 8 or 10 people that were from a particular club. It had to be joined members, and then you sent in your artwork to them. They would upload that into the system, and they would give you a code so that you could go in there and send that to your people to, be able to set you up with a particular jersey. They stopped doing that just because the platform grew too quickly, but that's why the likes of like the ODZ guys, I think they're the Kraken Club or whatever it is that they use, they had ODZ jerseys on there for a long time, and there was other clubs that had them as well.
Yeah, there's quite a few of the other professional clubs you'll see. Yeah,
so that's one of those things that would be nice if you could maybe just upload artwork and create some sort of engine that would create that for you. I don't know, I think that'd be kind of neat. But yeah, that would be neat to see, Matt. What else do you guys think is missing?
I think I talked about this earlier, but a way to communicate instead of their archaic way to type in a little message that you can't really see who it comes from.
It goes out to everybody using Zwift. Yeah, that's a pain in the butt. And
both voice chat and a better chat system, right?
Yeah.
It'd be nice to have that for those meetups for sure. Competition, they need some sort of way to like certify things on there, and I don't know how you do that. That's a big thing, but knowing that you're complicated, knowing that your trainer's properly calibrated, maybe there's some sort of way that the trainer can speak to the program a little bit more, I guess, competently to say that it needs to be calibrated or that it's calibrated to this degree. That would be nice because there's definitely some stuff that can go on there that can skew race results. How do you guys figure out like what people actually weigh? How do you get around that bit? I know that if they're doing pro racing, you have to have some sort of a weigh-in, but what would be a way that we could set this up so that people can get weighed? And if you're doing like a group ride or some sort of just amateur race on there, it'd be nice to know that like I'm racing against whoever, like Evan. I'm looking across the table. He's a bad example though, because if I make him weigh any less, it's going to be nothing. But I want to know that I'm racing against Evan Price, who weighs 155, not Evan Price, who weighs 135.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's actually I just adjusted. So like my summer weight, I had it like 4 pounds less, and I just adjusted to off-season weight, just assuming that I always hang around the same number. I don't know. That'd be a lot for the Zwift. Like you'd have to probably like send in a picture or something like that, and then they'd have to verify the date of the picture. You'd have to, there'd be a lot with that.
I know that there are smart scales.
You could do the digital scale stuff and have that connect to Zwift, but I mean, to be honest, like any of these things can be cheated or adjusted. So.
Ego's a funny thing. When left to their own devices, people are going to do what they can to inflate that ego a little bit. So,
and that's, I mean, it's just like, at the end of the day, I know me and NATO joked about this, is like, you're just cheating yourself. And at that point, it's like, if you're going to jump in one of these races and you're going to, say like, oh man, my 20-minute power is like 5.5 watts per kilo. And then you're like, oh, but your weight is 15 pounds more than you actually weigh. Okay. Then as soon as we get out on the road,
where it
you're
really
going to
matters.
see. Yeah, exactly. That's why I love Strava KOMs, is because, a hill KOM is really not going to lie what your weight is. Like, that's, I like, Livingston or Larch Mountain around here has not gotten any less steep since I last checked. So I think that, if you're in an A race, what I found is a lot of the A races, a lot of those guys winning those races do some of the professional races. So those guys are weight checked frequently. So when I'm in an A race, if I'm getting dropped, I'm pretty convinced. I'm like, yeah, I'm just getting dropped here, which makes me feel a little bit better.
Group workouts, I think, would be kind of a neat thing too. Like if we all wanted to jump on there and do like a group workout of sorts, where we didn't all get like separated, or somehow we're able to regroup a little bit more. Because if we do a workout right now and like we're going to go do like a 20-minute threshold, there's going to be a lot of dropping that's going to happen there. So it'd be nice to have some sort of a group workout function on there where it kept everybody somewhat together without using that rubber band thing that absolutely sucks. I think that'd be kind of
Trainer
cool.
Road has that. Trainer Road has a group workout feature, and it's cool, right? So, I mean, it would make sense for Zwift to do the same thing. Like, maybe not rubber band, but like you're doing similar. Like Jake and I couldn't do a workout together, but they could make it happen where we kind of stick together a little bit. Like if Jake puts in a mega effort, then he moves ahead of me a little bit, and but ultimately we start each rep together or something like that. I think they could do it.
Yeah. Now the Trainer Road one is more of like just like a Zoom call, looking at each other and each other's power numbers. You're not seeing like how much somebody's pulling ahead of you. I don't know. I just think that
because they don't have anything like that, any sort of pulling ahead. But but you do have a bit of social aspect to those workouts, and if you're coaching a group of athletes or something like that, having those group workouts makes a lot of sense.
Yep, for sure. Let's talk a little bit about Zwift moving forward. They've got some pretty big ambitions here, and I think they're kind of looking at Peloton across the table over there, quietly saying, "Oh, they're doing their own thing. They're their own company, and they've got their own people that they're catering to." But they're also looking at the need to want to continue to grow their company. I think that, and they've outwardly said that they're going to build and come up with their own hardware program. And ultimately, if people are going to go out and buy a Zwift bike, and then they're going to start using the Zwift platform, and they're going to start using Zwift workouts, they're kind of trying to take a page out of the Peloton book. Do you think that they'll be successful with that? Because Peloton right now is just a behemoth. I didn't realize how big of a company they were until I started reading through this article, but they're per quarter coming out with or making 243,000 bikes per quarter, and those bikes are about $2,000-ish a pop, and they've right now have a 1 to 2 month waiting list on those. So they're obviously putting a lot of people on bikes, and they're growing their platform significantly. Once they get you on the bike, they've got you hooked into the membership, and so they're kind of getting you on both fronts. Do you think that Zwift has the capacity to go in and do something like that? And how would it change the whole platform so that, going forward, is this a place where like competitive cyclists are going to want to go, or is this going to be more pretty much just like trying to cater to the enthusiast who's just trying to get fit? What do you guys think?
I think Peloton is a super interesting platform because like you talk about, yes, they're moving a ton of bikes. The people that are on Peloton are absolutely obsessed. They don't seem to be the same type of cyclist that, a Zwifter is. Like those people are probably more likely to ride on the road a lot of the time and then occasionally ride on Zwift. Whereas Peloton, it's like they don't own a bike. They just own a Peloton and they do their indoor Peloton workout, right? It's like spin versus, indoor training. I don't think I described that well, but, I wonder if there's a bridge there where it's like, hey, can we take these Peloton people and take the next step of like, you like Peloton, why don't you try stepping outside and going for a little ride? Seems like there's real potential there. We all know Zwift is, making their own, indoor bike piece because there's money to be made there, and it makes a lot of sense for them to do that. I think that's clearly a real negative for all of us, but it's the direction that they'll definitely head.
Gotcha. Don't disagree. I think it'll be interesting. I'm hoping that it is something that they do, and I hope that for positivity towards the cycling community. It pulls people away from Peloton being on a quote unquote spin bike and getting into more of like a cycling atmosphere, and that it would hopefully kind of push those buttons to get those persons to want to think about like, all right, well, I really enjoy this. I enjoy riding on this bike, and I can also take this bike outside. So maybe I need to go outside and ride and connect with other people out there and grow the cycling community as a whole. So I'm really hoping that that's kind of the direction that it goes. I'm just kind of curious to see how they're going to make this work, though.
Yeah, I think overall it just becomes this question of, how do we continue to promote cycling and people getting into the sport from team perspectives and not just, I see benefit with people using Peloton for exercise, but if it only leads to people just staying indoors and doing their 30-minute exercise, I don't think that's good for the fitness community overall. I think that continues this desocialization, which I don't think is good long term. I think you'll see almost similar to, we see big boom and bust in the fitness industry when you're talking about January and February, and Jake knows this very personally, is I think it's people that lack that socialization aspect of when they get into the gym and they're like, I'm going to do this year. And if that only lasts January, my opinion is it's not that person gave up or, was soft or anything like that or any of those old adages. I think it's that they didn't find the right social network to keep them motivated.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if Peloton is only just this really expensive thing that you buy, or if Zwift is just this expensive monthly thing that you buy, but you never connect socially with it, I think the staying power is going to be pretty low.
Yeah.
For most people. You'll find that 10% of the people that stay with it no matter what. But
here's a question for Lance then on that same note is, Lance, are you going to stay as immersed in the cycling community as you are if you don't have racing, if you don't have a indoor racing platform, if you don't have other people to connect with, if you don't have a team, if you're just Lance, you don't know anybody else, and you've got a bike, are you still going to ride your bike the same way that you do?
Probably.
Probably?
I probably would still, I probably would still ride quite a bit, but I don't think I'd be nearly as, if I didn't have racing and I didn't have teammates and I didn't have teams I'm trying to be with, I wouldn't be as committed. For sure.
Be far more recreational. You probably would have a fraction of the hours, and you wouldn't have near the edge that you have, and you're not going to push yourself. I mean, you probably wouldn't have made half the life decisions that you've made, like with respect to like how you eat, how you sleep, and how you rest and train. All these things just kind of go out the window when you don't have that connectivity.
Correct. Yeah, that's true.
Cool. How about you, Matt?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I was pretty big into some of this indoor stuff before Zwift existed. I actually did Trainer Road for a while.
Yep.
Trainer Road predates Zwift, for those of you guys that don't know that. But it was all like, hey, how do you get faster? And training indoors through the winter was a way to do that. It wasn't social. There wasn't social stuff associated with that at all. It was wanting to be competitive in triathlon. And triathlon's such an individual sport. So I don't know.
That's why I wanted to compare and contrast the two of you, because you're a little bit more, I'm not going to say that you're the total lone wolf, but from a triathlete perspective, you guys do a lot more stuff individually.
Like, what is it? The lone wolf. You guys are part of my lone wolf pack. Pack of lone wolves. What is that from? It's from
Hangover. The Hangover when he's when he's trying to do the speech. When he's trying to do the speech at his like bachelor party. He's like, and then my pack gained 2.
I love that movie.
This is just because Matt doesn't have friends though, so he's a really bad example of this, you know?
Yeah, I'm a pretty bad example.
Yeah.
Any last little thoughts or input or like just 2 cents on Zwift in general?
So Lance, the world champion of Zwift, would you call that person a world champion? And do you think that they would be allowed to wear a world champion UCI jersey?
No. Well, they can wear whatever virtual jersey they want. I don't care what jersey they wear virtually.
I do wonder if the Zwift World Championship, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure it's a UCI event now.
Interesting.
And I wonder if they get sent a World Championship jersey.
Probably. I mean, that's an accomplishment.
Oh, it's after having done a year now of Zwift racing, whoever wins that race, in my opinion, is mind-blowing. Like, that's insanely fit.
So long as they can verify that everything is on
They've got
an
a lot of
even
verification for that
level
now.
playing ground, I'm all for that. But when you start talking about the amateur ranks of racing on Zwift and just being able to go on Tuesday night Zwift race,
and just dominate it with
there's too many variables out there that are skewing everything. It's like, all right, well, why am I doing this? All right, maybe I'm getting a good workout out of it, but if I'm there for the competitive aspect of it, the value isn't there for me. I'd rather go chase down a Strava KOM or something like that.
Yeah, way more fun chasing Strava KOMs. But this is with that championship too. It's interesting because I've looked at some of the guys who are competitive in that, and they're actually quite a few of them are like mountain bikers. Like mountain bikers and cross guys. Like there's this guy named Sam Brandlin who's very, very quick. And I think he's like a very competitive mountain biker.
Interesting.
So it's interesting to see the people who excel at the virtual world aren't the ones you would think sometimes. They're not all the Lionel Sanders of the world.
How about you, Matt and Lance? You guys, any parting thoughts here on Zwift?
I mean, with all that money, I'd love to see them don't raise the price anymore. My gosh. I'd love to see them kind of say, hey, we're gonna really roll out more features because that would help their user basis. The reality is they're going to use that money to try to attract more people to lock in, right? Because, that's what you do with investment money. Yeah, you'll invest some in development, but you're really looking at ways to lock in people. So that for them, I think is like hardware, Peloton bike competitor, because that's going to raise their future stock prices if they do, go with an IPO at some point. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I love Zwift, but I don't love Zwift. That's my parting thought.
Yeah, it has its value for certain times of the year for sure. So, Lance, any parting thoughts from you, bud?
For me, it's just a necessary evil that helps me keep my my motivation up, I guess. I don't think I have anything more. I'd love to see some big sweeping changes that make it better. Let's see what happens.
Gotcha. How about you, Evan?
I still enjoy it, but if everything went away and it was just me and the fluid trainer again, I'd figure it out. So, yeah.
And then we didn't really get into this, but Ruvi, we'll just kind of say that not really something that I'm interested in doing. I'm sure that you're not interested in. Matt, I know that you had your video that came out about the Black Friday stuff, and you alluded to the fact that they were running some sort of a Black Friday deal. They're the only one that I can think of. I think Sufferfest may have put something out there for a deal as well, but I know that there wasn't anything from the likes of Trainer Road or Zwift.
Sufferfest. Sufferfest had some sort of deal with Wahoo, so Wahoo owns Sufferfest.
Yeah.
And I think it was like buy something from Wahoo and get Sufferfest for a year or something like that, which they're going to do a lot of those deals for sure in the future. I don't know. I think there are a fair amount of like small Zwift competitors. That Rovi company is definitely one of them. I don't know. I feel like they're just getting started. I don't know if they're a world beater just yet.
They've been around for a few years now, though.
Yeah, but they've been in beta for a few years, which has been free, and now they're charging people.
Gotcha.
So I think they're still kind of getting rolling with their product. And I think it's good. I just think, it doesn't feel quite as polished. And I think we'll see. There's also a couple of other. You guys joked around earlier about like riding on Mars. There's actually an app for riding on Mars, and it's called Soul. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but you can go ride on Mars. It looks kind of lame to me.
Oh,
I haven't really tested it, but it's out there.
I mean, that's a big selling point to me is how many random planets can you build into a bike course,
Yeah, it just didn't look quite as good. I think there's a couple other things that are really interesting as well. There's like hacks for Grand Theft Auto where you can go ride a bike in that particular platform. And I just think like those particular engines, their gaming engines, are really interesting. So I don't know if another competitive company could come along and use a different gaming engine, that would really put a little bit of a compelling reason to move away from Zwift, something like that. So we'll see. I'm sure someone will do it. It's just a matter of if it'll take off or not. So
I'm sure if Grand Theft Auto came up with a really, really good bike racing model that you could shoot people on and do stuff like that, it would kill Zwift. Zwift would be gone in 4 days.
Well, that's the thing is like that game itself is so massive, and you have hundreds of developers working on a gaming engine. These are the best developers for games in the world. And Zwift is getting like those gamer developers, like they're scraps. It's like those guys are
scrubs.
Like, if you're the
They're
best,
scrubs.
if you're one of the best game developers in the world, you're gonna go like try and do something with Grand Theft Auto. You're not gonna go work at Zwift. Those gaming engines are top notch. They take years to develop, and then what you can do with those gaming engines is amazing. Like, in fact, Zwift did this. They took a gaming engine and they developed their whole platform around it, but it's just old now. And so there has been progress made on gaming engines. It's just a matter of building all the other parts, the cycling infrastructure, all the different worlds and things like that around a new gaming engine. So that's the backstory on that piece.
We just lost every Zwift game developer. Thanks, Matt. Every single one who's listening to this right now was like, you know what? I did get that offer from Grand Theft Auto, and I chose Zwift instead because.
Yeah, right. They're lying. They're only lying to themselves.
Yeah, they were. They just lost the email. They just lost the email.
I wanted to be a game developer my whole life to work at Zwift.
For Zwift.
Sorry, buddy.
Gotcha. Cool. And unless you guys have anything else you want to add to this, I think that we all like Zwift. I don't know if we necessarily love it, but it's for Lance, it's a necessary evil. For me, I think it's a nice commodity to have. Evan gets his
I use it a lot.
2 cents out of it, and Matt likes it as much as he doesn't like it. And yeah, I think we're all on board with Zwift. It would be nice to see some bells and whistles and features added to it. It would be nice to see a little bit more from them for the people that have been around for some time so that they can continue to grow with the platform and leverage it to help enhance the cycling community.
Definitely.
My 2 cents on that. So let's move on to one last thing. Lance, let's go with you first so that if we do lose you, at least you did your one last thing.
My
Lance's one last thing is that he's going to break up, and
yeah, we didn't get him.
He's frozen. So, Lance, hold that thought. Hopefully, we'll have you come back here in just a moment. Matt, can anybody decipher that?
I got nothing.
All right, just hold on. We'll come back to you in a second. Go ahead, Matt. One last thing.
Yeah, I always post videos. So this past week's video, I did the Black Friday thing, which might be dated by the time we get to Wednesday. I think some of those deals might be expired, but I would go check it out anyway because it's always worth watching all my videos, every single one of them. You know, watch them in slow motion if you want to, whatever you got to do, but you should watch those
cinematography in there, yes.
Yeah, watch it for the cinematography.
Smash
in fact,
that like
Jake
button.
was holding the camera on some of those shots for sure that I used in the intro of that video.
And pushing some joysticks on a little drone there, too.
Oh, yeah. I got some drone shots. I've been using that same drone shot over and over again because I feel like we took a couple of drone shots. There's one that really turned out well, and that's the one that I just keep using over and over again in different ways in different videos. But that, and then I'm currently wearing the Wahoo Element Rival watch and testing that. So I'll get that video out. It'll probably be another week or two before I have that video out.
Cool.
And that's from the Dialed Cycling Lab, of course. So go support your local cycling lab.
Cool. Mr. Price, one last thing.
Matt sent me something that they're remeasuring Everest. So that was funny. There's a group of brave men and women who are going to go remeasure Everest. Apparently, I have no idea how they manually measure the elevation of a mountain. But it looks like everybody who did an Everest this last year is probably going to need to go back out and do a couple more laps. So I'm just waiting for final word, and then me and Matt will go back out there, and I'll just do half a lap on Forest Home to make up that 13-foot difference that they're going to come up with, I'm sure.
Evan, what it looks like is that it's going to be lower, and I just wanted to
oh, thank goodness.
Just give you I just told you it was going to be higher just to kind of give you a what's what, kind of give you a hard time. But yeah, it looks like they had some sort of volcano and they're worried about it being lower than it was before. Okay. So all those, maybe all these extra laps that you did were pointless. So
but, I want my money back then. That's ridiculous. Yep. Yeah. I mean, how do they get that measurement wrong? It seems like a really easy process to just measure how tall the largest mountain in the world is.
Cool. My one last thing is going to be a question for all you guys. What did you buy for yourself on Black Friday or the ensuing weekend and Cyber Monday? Did you guys go out and spend any money? You guys buy because the internet
really.
sales around the world were just like skyrocketed this year, like all new records everywhere. Want to know what you guys buy, Matt? What'd you buy?
I got a couple things. I got, and you know what's really bad? It's like I don't even remember like what I picked up. I did pick up a Castelli jacket that was super cheap.
Cool.
I figured I would maybe buy gloves from Jake because I think you might actually have those in your shop.
Got a bunch of them.
I picked up an Alexa, like the new whatever, like the new big one. I think it's called Alexa Studio.
Yeah.
Because our old Alexa is pretty busted and old. If I keep saying Alexa, then Jake's whole studio is going to go crazy, I think. So
Thankfully, I have headphones on right now, so she can't hear you. Otherwise, she'd be yelling at me. What do you want? Cool.
I'm trying to think of what else I got. I don't think, not too much. You know, I can't think of much else that I picked up.
Cool. How about you, Lance?
Lance is rocking it in Arizona, middle of nowhere.
I can see him. I can kind of hear him, but I guess we're just not going to get a response from him. I think. Oh, there he is. Go ahead.
You can hear me.
Yep.
I GoPro.
Something GoPro. I don't know. We'll have to get this from him later. Yeah, this is exhilarating stuff again. All right. I think I didn't really do too much damage to the old pocketbook. I did re-up and purchase the premium Training Peaks program because it was 25% off, so that was a pretty good deal. And I'm
looking at that right now, Jake, and considering it. I just don't know if I should pull the trigger.
Well, yeah, because I'm testing out Trainer Road right now, and I know that they've got great programs, and they are relatively straightforward, and they're pretty easy to build. I'm just going to go try it and see how I like it, but I might end up just sticking with Training Peaks and build my own programs. And then that's one of those things that we didn't get into with the Zwift thing. I can actually take those programs that I can push them easily into Zwift and just follow them there, as opposed to Trainer Road. You can't do that. You can't push them into Zwift land and follow it there. You have to do the whole like dual thing at the same time, which is kind of a hassle. But I think that I'm just going to end up sticking with Training Peaks, build my own program, and follow that, and I can use it on Zwift or outdoors or wherever I find it to work best for me that particular day. So I think that that's going to be a pretty good setup. But I do think that Trainer Road has some pretty fantastic stuff. And I really like the fact that you can go in there and plug in a couple races and then just let it just go to town and build you a whole training program structured around what your A and your B races are. So kind of fun. All right, guys, I think that's it. Should be fun. Listening to this in post, hopefully we can maybe cut out a little the dead space in there, but we really appreciate everybody listening. I appreciate all you guys coming back for another podcast with me. It's always fun to sit down with my buddies and talk shop. We will see you all next week. Until then, bye for now.